Hello, everybody. Spider here once again, coming soon podcast, San Antonio, Texas, being joined by Andrew Evans, of course, also in Texas, man. You're out there, North Texas, correct?
Well, more East Texas, actually,
East
closer to
Texas, yeah.
Louisiana. Yeah, out there in East, which is so big, man. It's one of those things that it's saying this. It's going to take you 8 hours to get to North, or 8 hours to get to the East, and 16 all the way across. So, it's a long ways.
No, for sure, man. And of course, I mean, we talked a little bit before we jumped on this live, and I mean, it's we've been trying to make this happen. I mean, I know you're waiting for the film, The Texas Witch, was this one that we're gonna plug in to actually jump on this, but yeah, man. I mean, other than what's been happening, because your story is pretty cool, man. I mean, when it comes to film, you actually jumped on as an assistant. I mean, this is something. Let me ask you this before you jumped on anything, man. What was it that you were doing, or were you already thinking about jumping on films? I mean, what was going on?
Yeah. So I've only, I'm relatively new in the grand scheme of in the entertainment industry and movies. I was approaching 30 years old, and I guess you could say it was like a midlife crisis where it was like, I'm miserable doing what I love to do, or miserable doing, I want to do what I love to do. And I was in a different sales and business and stuff like that. And I thought, well, I always love movies. I love entertaining people. I want to get in on that. And so I started out as a production assistant, working for free, just letting someone please give me an opportunity. And I did. And my first film was filmed here in East Texas. And my job was basically to hold a styrofoam rock so that it looks like it's heavy. And when he hits his head, it won't move. And I guess I did pretty good at it because he recommended me for another guy that, of course, it was like, hey, it's very low budget films, stuff like that. Here's a little bit of money, but I want you to be over my basically keep receipts as maybe an office production assistant, I guess you could say. And so I did that. And finally, I had learned enough to where it's like, well, I want to make my own movies, which I've worked on other things. My first real studio, so to say, gig that I did was called Top Chef, and we filmed it in Houston, and that was a great experience. It was a long shoot, but also going from being an independent, where maybe you have 20 crew members, maybe, to probably 150. It was very like, oh damn, this is real stuff now, and so I've got 2 features now. I've got, of course, The Texas Witch that is released today. And then, of course, Hands of Hell, which was picked up originally by Redbox, which was awesome for me at the time because that's a big brand.
Yeah.
But they filed bankruptcy and they're no longer in existence. So I've got the rights back, and we're doing a re-release of Hands of Hell later this year.
Nice, bro. And of course, man, I mean, I got to ask you, bro, that foam rock, did you keep that? Do you have that with you still?
Unfortunately, I didn't get to keep that prop, but I did keep some other props that I've done. But I don't know where that foam rock went. But I was holding on to it, man, as if it weighed 3 tons.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, you see, that's one of the things that I do, man. I mean, whenever I jump on a project, I always keep something. I keep a prop, and I ask the directors, or I'll ask, of course. I mean, but I'm like, hey, man, can I keep this? And I usually have like the lead, whoever's, using that prop to sign it for me. And it's just, for me, it's just momentum, it's like, I've got my shelf, full of different items, but that's pretty cool, man. I mean, the fact that you were bitten by that bug, I mean, because you talk about well, actually, before we jumped on, we talked about this being one of those passions that you got to love it, man. I mean, there's a lot of you're gonna lose probably before you start winning, and if you're not in it because you want to do it, I mean, more than likely, you're not gonna stick around, and it's not gonna be something that you're gonna be following through. But for yourself, man, I mean, being your second personal, as far as your project, I mean, what are you thinking, man? I mean, this film just dropped, you're going to re-release the Hands of Hell, and are you thinking, okay, you know what, 1 a year, 2 a year? I mean, what's your thought process on this filmmaking?
Yeah. So, I draw inspiration from other filmmakers, especially independent, and to say, well, it's really important to create a brand. Some filmmakers will make a movie here, and then they make a totally different movie here, and it's not to be critical of what people want to do, but it's kind of like, I look at, because I've been in business, and you have to create a fan base. You have to create a clientele to say, this is what it is. And so with the Texas Witch, it's a very iconic name. It's, kind of like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It makes you wonder, is it based on something that could be real? And of course, we filmed in Jacksonville, Texas, where there's a Kilo Monument, which is supposedly haunted, where the Native Americans killed some of the first settlers that settled in Jacksonville, not too far away, Russ State Hospital, which with Texas and the Texas Chainsaw Massacres, the rumor is that the Leatherface is housed in this mental institution. And so we filmed smack dab in the middle of both of those areas. And whether or not it's true, I'm not saying if the Texas Witch is based on anything or not. You've got to watch the movie to find out. But we're already working on a sequel and trying to build a fan base behind the Texas Witch. Basically get the hashtag going, get the nation going. We're moving forward with that brand. Just like Walmart's built their brand and all these other companies. This is our brand.
No, for sure, man. Because the name, it is intriguing. Because like you said, I mean, you see it and you're thinking, okay, the Texas Witch. I mean, I'm in San Antonio. There's so many folklore stories based around my city that it kind of made me wonder. And I guess I'm gonna have to watch the film later today because I want to know if it's based on anything, But yeah, there's got to be stories out there that I guess people that have stories that can relate to this, because growing up. Here, man, we heard them all, and it was just one of those things where Saturdays, everybody, my aunts, my uncles, cousins, everybody come over, and it's like just all we heard was stories, bro. And it's like, damn, and we're kids thinking like, man, like what the hell? Like they're being chased by lechuza and being chased by, just crazy, stories, bro. But yeah,
like La Lorena, you got La Lorena, everybody, that's whether that's true or not. I look at most stories. Somewhere, some way, there's a piece of truth to it. Whether it's 99.9% fake, there's still that 0.01 that says, there's something to it potentially,
Yeah. No, yeah. And that's kind of, those are the stories that that personally, like, that I want to see, because it's something that I can relate to. It's something that I can, at the end of the day, be like, okay, it's just a movie, or maybe find out that it is based on something, because like with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you brought it up, man. And it's like when it first came out, like people that were just watching it on TV thought it was real. They didn't know. They're like, damn, there's this guy killing everybody, eating people. And it's like, they didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. Well, and even with other movies, whether it's like The Haunting in Connecticut, now they've got like The Haunting of all kinds of movies, and it pulls on the imagination of, well, how true is it? The Blair Witch Project, that is a big, notorious thing of they convinced folks that was real, and that built a fan base,
And I think I had read something being on that note, saying, I guess when that movie was coming out, you thought about different ways to promote. I think on that one, they were saying that people were actually leaving like cassettes, recorded VHS tapes like at the theater. So people were finding them and they'd take them home and be like, what the hell? Like it was a movie, but it was a promotion, dude. And that's, it's funny, but it's like, dude, that would have been pretty cool, Nice little prop.
Yeah, well, and internet was still relatively kind of young compared to what it is today, and they had websites up, and it was just the cast members, and they made it to where it looked like they were actually missing people. Yeah. And when you would go to the movie's website, you'd see these missing people, and people thought, well, that's real missing people. That's got to be real, And it was just part of the character. The characters are missing. There's nothing real to it.
No, but it's one of those things that we have mentioned earlier too. When it comes to being able to advertise. I mean, of course, the bigger promotions are going to have the money to throw a couple $100,000 just to be able to promote a film. But at the same time, I mean, you guys, I mean, when it comes to the indie world, I mean, you have to come up with different ideas, different ways to promote, different ways to get the word out and get people to watch and actually support and follow, man. And I mean, can you tell us a few things that you personally have done to be able to promote this?
Yeah. So, obviously, and a lot of people, the average fan doesn't know the difference between an indie filmmaker and Hollywood. They'll think, well, this is a, low budget Hollywood film, but there's a different world, between Hollywood and independent. They've got $20 million just sitting there waiting to put on a Coke can, to put on TV, to run ads nonstop.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, indie filmmakers don't have $20 million to do that, much less even make $20 million to even make the thing. And so everybody has their own kind of way to do that. And one of the things that we've done was like with Hands of Hell, get social media influencers that have millions and millions of followers to that they want to see them act. They're not necessarily actors, something maybe they want to dabble in, but now they want to watch their favorite TikToker in a movie get killed. Oh, yeah. And so for Hands of Hell, it's the same with that was, we've got Justin, he played for Three Doors Down, people want to see, does he die? How does someone like that die? Or a UFC fighter that's some of the most badass people in the world. Oh, yeah. How does that person die? Or maybe in this instance,
if they die, right? We got to watch the movie, right? I said, if she dies in the movie, we still got to watch it and see, right?
Yeah, exactly. We don't know. It could be some of these people may be the killer, or maybe they're a victim. We don't really know. But even Neil McCoy, Neil McCoy was, is a huge name even to this day in country music, Yeah. And so their fans are like, well, I want to see that. And so that helps us even it a little bit as far as the playing field goes with Hollywood to say, well, let's get pieces of their fans to now watch the film because they're a fan of their work, whether or not they're fans of them being actors, they're at least fan of, whether they're fighters, musicians, or whatever.
No, for sure, man. Because one of the things about the horror world when it comes to movies, man, a lot of big name people started off in horror films, and it's just, that's where they got their big break. And it's like, for many, I know a lot of indie actors that are happy being in indie films. They're like, man, I could do this forever. They're not so concerned on going to Hollywood and being a big name. It's its own separate world, man. And I tell people, like, if you don't know, like you mentioned earlier, if people don't know about the indie world, it's that you can be famous and not be a Hollywood actress. There's people out there with big names, and it's like, damn. People that don't know, of course, they're not going to know. But when it comes to the indie world, man, people know who they are, what they've done, what they're doing. We follow them religiously, and it's just, they get a lot of support.
Yeah, so it's almost like a, I don't want to, maybe, well, I don't have the word to describe it. Not necessarily a cult, but the gathering of the independent fan, the ones that are there, they are hard-nosed, know it all about every independent film. Like, I ain't even, you don't even know about the movie, but they know about it, Yeah. And they will defend these movies down to and I admire that. I love it. It feels great to have the person that says they love independent films. Yeah. But also, with the way the world is right now with, whether it's political or whatever, Hollywood gets a lot of hate right now. And so it's one of those things that, give the independent world a chance. If you're not happy with Hollywood, there's thousands of independent films just waiting for you to watch.
No, it's true. And that's the thing because, like you mentioned, when it comes to the bigger films, a lot of them are streaming. They're being owned by streaming services. So, of course, a lot of them aren't going to the theater. And, theaters, I know the numbers have declined. So now, I think the past year, it's been a great opportunity for indie films to actually jump on. Whether it's that market, whether like for example, like here in Texas, you'd be able to promote your film. There's a lot of films that do make it to not every theater, but I know for example, like Alamo Drafthouse, they've done quite a few. I know Regal Cinema. Here in San Antonio, we got city-based theaters that they drop indie films here and there, man, and it's always great because we get that opportunity. It's like I don't mind streaming, but yeah, I've driven like an hour, 2 hours to go watch a film somewhere that's playing here in Texas just so I can go see it, in the big screen, and it makes a difference. It's a nostalgic, and it's just something, it's something I want to do. So of course, I head out there and check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And, and lately there's been a lot of, kind of independent films getting some more, more publicity, Terrifier, that's a huge thing in the horror world, So it's one of those things. Independent films are there. There's definitely, is it hard to compete? Sure it is, but it's hard to compete anywhere. If you want to own a restaurant, you got to compete against the big boys. You want to own a grocery store, you got to compete against the big boys. And it's just figuring out how can I build that clientele up to where they know that they're going to watch my movies. They're a fan of it, whether it's because they're a fan of the people I put in it, myself, or just the quality of film.
No, for sure, man. And of course, and that's one of the things, man. And I was going to post this up real quick, man. We actually had a production company, man. I'm actually jumping on this week, but Jackknife the movie, of course, they said what's up, and that's one of the things I personally love about this, bro. Because even though there's politics and everything, when it comes to sports, when it comes to even film, in the indie film world, man. But the fact that there's a lot of productions out there that support each other and keep promoting each other because, there's enough for everybody, man. Here in San Antonio, for example, when it comes to You know, you had mentioned the UFC fighter, right? There's a lot of MMA gyms here in San Antonio, there's jiu-jitsu gyms. When I first started in 99, 2000 training in MMA, there was nothing. It was only us. You know, there was no gyms. I mean, there was no, you know, we didn't even use the term MMA. You know, it was what was it called? Full contact fighting and vale tudo and everything else. But for people to compete and say, oh man, well, you know what, I want to be the only one. It's like, dude, there's like hundreds and thousands of people. I mean, every gym doesn't have like more than 2,000 people. You know, there's enough people out there. It's just, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's just like I said, it's politics. But I mean, when it comes to filmmakers helping each other, man, I'm all for it. You know, let's grow.
Well, and that's another thing. Just talking about, independence. You with the studios, they have such a level of power. So you got your executives, all these things. You got your studio, and on who has a say in what. But ultimately, they have one person that you're going to listen to. And independence, some of these none of the projects really maybe hit home to these studios, or at least that's the idea that you get when you're watching it as an average fan. It's like, oh, they don't even care about the story anymore. They don't care about this. They don't care about that. To where independent filmmakers, they care a lot more about it. But it seems like it's very hard to get in with indie filmmakers because it is so close to them that they don't want anyone else to potentially change anything that they have. And I get it, but if indie filmmakers could come together and say, oh, well, this guy's good at marketing, let me find a way to bring him in, or this guy's good at and work together. And there's a few people like that, but I think independent filmmakers are scared to really branch out and really connect with others out of the fear of their work potentially being changed or whatever, because it means something to indie filmmakers versus big studios.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, like you said, it is personal. You know, there's this thing I always tell people, man, because when I first started doing this or jumping in films, I mean, it was hard, because like you said, I mean, everybody's got that close knit group that they don't let just anybody out there, and it's like it took a while for me to actually kind of like start getting invited, to these films, or start, being able to, hey, you want to jump on, or you want to, and I got to thank them, man, because here locally, I mean, it took a while, but like once people, I guess, realized I wasn't going anywhere, they were like, man, well, I guess, let them show up, but I appreciate it, man, from everybody, bro. Like, it's been one of those things where I learn. I get out there and I learn. I watch people work. I watch, how the directors are working, the actors, the lighting, the camera, like everything. And I'm just soaking everything up and thinking, okay, you know what? Like, I want to use it for something. If I jump on the film, like, I'll know, okay, the camera's here. I got to look up for this, for that. I mean, angles, you name it, but it's like on the job training. But, like you said, I mean, there's a lot of, I know when it comes to the indie world, there's a lot of fear of, you mentioned of people. I think from what I've heard, it's mostly people getting their stories stolen. Their ideas stolen, and that's one of the, and I get it, it's like you don't want to put stuff out there before you're done, because of course people will be like, oh shit, I can do that, and
you jump on and get it done faster.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a biggie, and of course, I respect everybody, man, and of course, when it comes to like you said, it's their film, it's their baby. I mean, they're gonna nurture it and make it to what they want. But a lot of these productions, like you said, they already have the people that they go to that they can trust, that they know are gonna show up, are gonna be accountable, are going to be there 100% and just get things done, because time is money, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that was something, that I've always admired about Adam Sandler. When you watch an Adam Sandler movie, pretty much the same people are in it.
Yes.
And that's what I've always wanted to do, whether it's mostly with the crew, though, because I'm more of a business crew type of guy rather than actors and stuff like that. But to say that when you watch a movie, this is the DP, or, even like Tim Burton, when you watch him, the music is going to be the same guy. It's the same people in all of his movies because he's built that, over the last 30 years or more.
No, for sure, man. And I was going to say, like you said, I mean, when it comes to the crew, man, I got to send a shout out to everybody that works the cameras, dude, that works the boomsticks, the gaffers, the production team. I mean, people that are helping out, because it takes a lot. You had mentioned earlier when it comes to a big production, I was able to jump on a commercial a while back, and, the AP's like, hey, we got to move this pool table back. And so I got up and I'm pushing it, and he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to help you push it back. And he said, no, you're an actor, man. He's like, we got people for that. And it kind of made me feel stupid, dude, because I was like, well, crap. I mean, okay. I sat back down and I'm thinking, man, that's kind of cool. But at the same time, I was like, dude, like I'll get my hands dirty, man.
Well, it's
Like,
one of those things. You're a hard worker, hardworking man in general, but also you're used to independent films where you'll see an actor do that. But when you're on these big studio shoots, you know, where they're commercials or movies or TV shows, they've got people to move that. You just sit back and just do what you're supposed to do.
Oh yeah, man, and it just caught me off guard, but I get it because I mean, yeah, the production. I think they had like 48 people that were there, bro. It was like a freaking like ants. Everybody had a purpose. You know, the lights breaking down, setting up. I mean, you name it, man. It was just like insane. But yeah, you know, it's fun, and of course, you know, for those out there, I mean, I still get asked to jump on projects, and I'm for it, man. Like I love it. I mean, especially if it's local, you know, why not? I'm already here, but I mean, you know, I mean, it's a couple of projects. I'll be going up to Waco next year, the beginning of next year, I believe, man, to jump on something. So that's pretty cool, man.
That's
Stay
awesome.
busy.
Well, I love it. Yeah, I love it. Well, that's the challenge here is that while I've had success in the industry in my short time here, I've always had to travel because there's basically nothing entertainment related in East Texas unless I create it, basically. Yeah. And so basically, if I'm getting work, I'm moving around type thing. Yeah. And so I've had to build those relationships to where they can trust me to say, okay, well, he's going to come and he's going to drive however far, another state to come work, but I know he's going to be here because he's done it before, you know, and I know for production, that's scary to say, well, I'm going to get someone from another state to come here. They look for locals because they know that they're less likely to dip on them and stuff like that. But if I only did local work here in East Texas, it wouldn't be much work here.
No, yeah, man. I mean, I've yet to travel up that way. I mean, it's just one of those. Back then, I know they used to have a few MMA fights back in the day, and it was one of those for me. Like, damn, do I really want to drive that far? Like, you know, between nothing, you know, just to get there. And I mean, a lot of times I would know, but I mean, I was notorious for going to Dallas, Houston, you know, Laredo, Corpus, like come back the same night and just, you know, go to sleep in my bed. But yeah, man, it's just, I mean, Texas is so big, bro. I mean, we talked about that earlier, you know, and I was going to bring this up because, and I didn't look it up before I jumped on this, but I know I was told that from San Antonio to, I don't know if it's Eagle Pass or El Paso, that it's the same, it will take me the same distance from San Antonio to El Paso or Eagle Pass, whichever, than it is from Eagle Pass or El Paso to LA.
Yeah, it just shows how far away it is.
Yeah. You know, so for me, I'm like, dude, I believe it, bro.
Well, that's like my business partner. She lives in South Carolina, and I can travel from East Texas to South Carolina in the same amount of time as it would take for me to get to East Texas to El Paso. And I'm going through Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and five states. And it is the same distance as East Texas to West. You know, it's crazy just how big it is, you know. And when I describe that to people, like, oh, I'm in this little East Texas town, they're like, well, how far is that from Houston? I'm like, oh, it's like, you know, 3 or 4 hours. They're like, well, how can you still be in Texas? That's usually a whole state for somebody.
Yeah, man. The first road trip I took, we went to Florida, and I drove from here to, like, they were like, well, just drive outside of Texas. And I'm thinking, oh, dude, easy. You know, and it seemed like a whole freaking day, man. Like it took freaking forever in a day just to get out of Texas. But it's like after that, like you said, everything flew by. You know, went through Louisiana, Alabama. I mean, just crossed everything. Before I knew it, we got to Florida, and that was another story. You know, we headed all the way out to south of Tampa, man, Sarasota. So we went out there, and it was like it's about the same distance, you know. But by that time, my brother-in-law drove the rest of the way, so I just took a nap, bro. I was like, dude, I'm gonna go to sleep.
Make time to go by way faster then.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. And of course, man, let me ask you, when it comes to production, because of course, you know, what was the time frame? Let's say for your first film, like what did you guys shoot in? Like 2 weeks, a month? How long did it take to film?
Yeah, so I've always been, and I guess I take this kind of inspiration from the Saw franchise. They usually film 14 to 17 days. And so for both the Texas Witch and Hands of Hell, we do 2 weeks. And it's tough. You know, you're going, you know, and delays are tough. You know, if you have rain, I remember there was, I think it was on Hands of Hell, we had a day where it rained. And we kind of moved the schedule around to shoot interior stuff so we weren't completely behind on the production. But yeah, so I try to do it really fast. But also I think that, and I don't know this is just a regular theory of mine, at least for the people that I've hired, they do a lot of short films. They do a lot of indie features to where they film like maybe a weekend, or maybe they film a week or something, and then they go home and then they come back later. So I felt that, instead of trying to drag it out for, 21 days, we do it for 14 so that the crew can get out of there and go back to their regular life, or at least it's somewhat close to what they're used to.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, and of course, I mean, when it comes to a short film, I think I've jumped on two here where it was like two different weekends. That I think the following weekend they just had to do catch up scenes, and just kind of. But I mean, I guess depending on who's available too, like you said, because I mean, if it's quite a few people, man, I mean, you got to make sure everybody can be there. You can't be switching out at the last minute because then you got to start over, for a few scenes. So it's surreal, but it goes back to like we mentioned earlier, man. It's like, I mean, the production team and the crew, it's like you already have people that are going to show up and be there, man. Be accountable. So that's good.
But yeah, well, and that's the thing, being it's a small area. I pull some people from this area, but for the most part, I've got to pull them out from bigger cities because there's really nothing here, especially in entertainment. So a lot of the people I pull from are either Dallas, Houston, or the Austin area.
And then I was going to ask you about that because, I mean, when you audition, I mean, where do you put this at? Is it just social media?
Yeah, so social media and Actors Access usually is where I'll post it. Yeah. And which the actors, I've had them from LA, I've got them from the Carolinas, Indiana, Mississippi. There was one girl, and it just turned out this way. She was the lead actress in Hands of Hell. She was in theater for Southern Mississippi, and she auditioned. And I figured, usually you could tell the difference between someone that's in theater acting versus like regular film acting. But she nailed it. I'm like, let's get this college kid in here and do it, and she was amazing, So I pull them from all over the United States, it's not just one particular place. Right. So it's just, but also with some of the independent actors, for me anyways, how I break it down as far as how to cast them is to try to say, well, what is their personality versus the character's personality, to where they're not having to act so much. Because, and it's not to discredit any independent actor, not trying to do that at all. Right. But sometimes there can be some inconsistencies in it. But if you can get that character to where they are the same kind of person, where they can really relate to that character, then you get a lot more consistent acting, because basically they're almost playing themselves. And now Hollywood, they can get away with that. Like The Rock, and I'm sorry, Rock, if you watch the show, I don't mean to bash you. Well, he kind of plays The Rock, right? There's not a whole lot of, he's not changing his voice. Yeah. He's not changing those type of things, And so he can get away with that, though. He's The Rock.
Oh, yeah. And so
that's kind of what we try to do when we're trying to find actors, is this person is kind of maybe a diva, the character. Yeah. Let's find an actor that kind of gives off diva energy. Maybe they don't have to act as much,
I'm sure there's a few out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if this guy's kind of a douche, or he's kind of a stoner, let's find an actor that kind of gives off those type of energies, to where they're not always acting. They're almost more comfortable. They can relate to that character,
No, for sure, man. Because man. I mean, when it comes to a lot of actors, and I mean, it's like I mean, there's a few out there in the big screen that I'm like, dude, there's the same people every freaking movie, man. And it's just, if I watch it, it's because of the storyline. It's not necessarily because of the actor, because I know it's going to be the same person. But yeah, I mean, The Rock. I mean, of course, he's out there. I mean, Nicolas Cage. You got quite a few actors out there that are the same people, and a lot of them get typecasted, of course, unfortunately, but I mean, once they do that, they can't get out of it, and it's just to see what other projects they can do, because a lot of times people don't want them,
Yeah, because that's who they are. Then they get to know, like Nicolas Cage, and I'm sorry if he's watching. I don't mean to bash him. He's a great actor. I love Con Air, but it's one of those things that he has finally kind of fallen off, because who he was and the type of actor that he was known for, it's kind of hard to do that now with that age and, stuff like that,
No,
and
for sure, man.
It sucks for him.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, like I said, I mean, I love watching, pretty much a lot of the movies that he's been in, but it's just, I mean, when it comes to him, I don't expect him to be anybody else. You know what I mean? It's like, I already know it's going to be that person, and it's like, okay, let's watch the movie, you know. But yeah, I mean, they definitely made their mark, and you know, whether they're still able to jump on films or not, you know, hopefully, you know, financially they're stable and they're good, and they can just keep living life, you know, having fun.
Absolutely.
Man,
And
let
that's
me
really
ask
what I
you.
want to do. You know, it's like most people think, well, if you're in the entertainment industry, you're either going to make millions or you're trying to make millions of dollars. And I think in the grand scheme, and I don't know the mathematics on it for sure or the stats on it, someone might be like, oh, he's so full of crap. But I would say that most people in the entertainment industry, their goal and what they do is just to make a good living. And it's maybe the 1% that actually have those tens of millions of dollars, your Tom Cruises, you know, your Scarlett Johanssons, you know. I think most people in the industry just want to do what they love to do and make a decent living doing it. Now, if anything, and that's kind of how I view it for myself, is I just want to make a decent living doing it, to where my focus is doing what I love. If all the other stuff comes with it, okay. But for now, I just want to make a decent living and do what I love to do.
No, I mean, yeah, man, because I mean, I know, I mean, it takes time and it takes money, you know. Those are the biggest, I mean, of course, when it comes to the indie world, because it's you know, getting people to edit and do audio and do, you know, the sound. I mean, of course, I mean, it's just going to take a lot of work, a lot of people. But I mean, for myself, I mean, I know every project I've jumped on, every director that I've worked with, like everybody's always had fun. I mean, of course, it's chaos and it might be a little crazy when they're there, but you know, I mean, you gotta love it. You gotta want to be able to, you know, do this stuff, because it's like, I mean, I can't see people doing it just because, you know, it's like you gotta actually want to like make movies and make have a story and make it come to life, you know. And that's kind of one of the things that I personally love about it, whether I'm the gaffer or I'm helping or in the film. It's like I want to be able to help that make that possible, you know. It's like, I mean, it takes a
And
lot
that's
of
like
people.
for me. I'll still PA right now. If someone calls me up and says I need a PA, I'll be there. I don't care because I
Yeah.
love being in that environment. I love
Yes.
doing that. Now
Yes.
that there's certain people that maybe the ego says, well, no, I've produced 2 features. I've done these things with these big studios. I'm not PA'd anymore. For me, I don't care. I'm gonna if you call me to PA right now, I'm on my way. Let's go.
No, you see, and there's a few directors here as well, man, and that's one of the things, like I mentioned earlier, that I love is that they're like, yeah, dude, I'll go help out, you know, because they help each other, they use each other. I mean, somebody might need a you know, a gaffer, and it's like, dude, well, I'm available, like I'll help out, and you know, who knows, man, the next time that guy needs, you know, that director needs help, like this guy will help jump in and help out, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I mean, everybody that's out there doing, you know, wearing different hats, of course, you know, it's like, I mean, it's a good thing, you know. You want to be able to help create your project, but at the same time help other people, man. And that's what it's gonna take, you know. It's like, I mean, you know, it's like, I mean, like you said, I mean, if it was in the perfect world, everybody would be cool with everybody and helping each other. I mean, for the most part, a lot of people do, but
Yeah.
you know, it's just, I
Well,
mean, for
once you
those
get
that
in,
don't,
you're in. Yeah, once you're in though.
yeah,
But once you got to put that work in, you know, and it may sound crappy to say, oh well, you got to work for free sometimes, but unfortunately, I mean, that's for me. I did it. Now I don't necessarily expect people to work free for me, but I'm willing to do it.
yeah,
You know, especially if it's a friend. Hey, you know, I'm finna shoot this faith-based film. With faith-based films, it's hard to make any money off of, so
yeah,
you got to keep your budget realistic. You know, and even though I make horror movies, I am, you know, Christian. And so if someone needs help, I'll do it, you know. And so my ego is not so big to do that. But, you know, talking about budgets while we're on that, you know, my experience comes from sales and business beforehand.
yeah,
And so you got to usually, either unless you've got a really good group of friends, it costs money to make a movie.
yeah,
And so I find creative ways to do it, which I've used some of my own. I've used in investors. The thing with investors, everybody wants an investor, but it's most people, how I look at it, and I don't mean to disrespect anybody or anybody think, oh, blah, blah, blah. I think there's 2 worlds. There's the artist's world, and then there's the business world. And that's where a lot of people hate distributors, because that's the business world. And most people don't understand the business world. They know how to create beauty art to make the camera look beautiful and stuff.
yeah,
And that's not necessarily my expertise. Mine is more on, well, how do we get funds? How do we get distribution? And how can we make money? And, you know, like for me, I love sponsors. I love product placement, you know, and to be able to talk to these brands and to show them the value in having their brand in there. So let's say, you have to feed your crew. Yeah. So let's say you've got $10,000 in food, but if you can find a way to where you've got product placement to where they maybe donate food, I don't even need their money.
Yeah.
You can just donate beef jerky. That now instead of having $10,000 I've got to spend on snacks and food, maybe they donate $300 worth of beef jerky.
Yeah.
Well, now I've got less that I have to, now I can move that $300 somewhere else.
Yeah.
And with shirts, I've sold, this is when we first started filming or getting in pre-production for the Texas Witch, we sold shirts.
Yeah.
And so just different clever little ways to say, well, how can I make a buck, to say that I can take that, even if you don't make a buck, just getting something to where, let's say it's a mom and pop's grocery store. Maybe they want their brand in it, say, hey, well, if you give me, 50 cases of water, to water my crew, I'm not taking your money necessarily, it's just product. And then I can move that money around because now I don't need it for that because I've got the product. So I've just tried to find interesting ways to do that. The ultimate dream is to say you got so much money rolling in that you just fund your own movies and you don't need investors, you don't need sponsors, you don't need any of that. Can it happen? Absolutely. But it takes time to build that brand to be able to do that.
No, for sure, man. And that's kind of like where a lot of people, like you said, I mean, they don't understand or they don't know. But I mean, for those that are out there, I mean, I know that's one of the things, like every project's always like, hey, just wear no name brands, no logos. I mean, of course, you don't want to jump in there and them have to edit it out or not use you, but yeah, but when it comes to the indie world, I mean, there are clothing.
We'll name drop on Texas Witch. You'll see a couple of name drops in there.
Yeah, I mean, heck, dude. I mean, like you said, if they contribute and help out, then why not? I mean, that's gonna, I mean, there's different ways to go about it. I mean, when it comes to merchandising, I mean, I've done a lot with the combat sports world. So of course, getting sponsors for fighters has always been a struggle. It's been a fight, but they're out there. There's companies out there that'll pay for their brand to be on not just on a pair of shorts or a banner, but to actually be pushed and promoted. And that's kind of like what I've had to sell. It's like, hey, you know what? It's not just, we're gonna wear your logo on the shirt that only you're gonna see because you're trying to find your logo. I said, but there's gonna be traffic. There's gonna be people, being sent over, and I mean, you got to grow it. But yeah, man. I mean, when it comes to sponsors or even investors, I mean, that's ideal. If you be able to get somebody to throw money your way, and that way you can just make it happen.
Because it's a business, in the end, and maybe some people that are artists, or creating money or trying to create a movie, they don't completely understand that is a business. It is no different than a grocery store. Now, some people say, Andrew, now movie's way different than the grocery store. And it's not if you break it down. No. The grocery store has to get a customer. You have to find a way to get the customer in the door. Is it your pricing? Is it customer service? What is it? And if you're looking for an investor or for a bank to give you a loan for that grocery store, you have to show the value to say, this is how I'm going to get your money back. Yeah. And it's the same with making movies to say, well, Mr. Investor, this is what I'm going to attempt to do. This is how I'm going to make your money back. But most people, the pitches they have is, well, this is my idea. I hope I can get your money. And I'm going to sign a distribution deal. But in the distribution deal, the distributor is going to take all your money because they didn't negotiate it right. So then the investor never gets their money back. And they're like, well, what the hell, And so that's where, like, my business partner, Jonna, she's also the lead actress in both Hands of Hell and the Texas Witch. And I let her, she's more of the artist, so to say, well, how does this character dialogue work? Because she writes the scripts also. How does all those things flow together? And not to say I don't have the input on it, because I love horror, and it's ironic, I guess, or interesting. She's not a horror fan, but she starred in 2 horror movies, so it is pretty cool how that worked. But it's a good team, and I'm very grateful for that, to say you got your artist, you got your businessman, now create something. Yeah. And not everybody has that. Some people, they're their business person, they're the artist, they're the cameraman, they're the director, producer, editor, sound design, they're everything, and and I admire that, but also I'm very blessed and grateful to say that I'm starting to build that good group that I've always wanted that does a good job,
No, for sure. I mean, because like we keep mentioning, earlier, man. I mean, when it comes to accountability, I mean, having people that you can trust that'll show up. One of the things, I mean, I was getting asked here when I first started was like people wanting to jump on films, and they're like, man, how can I do it? How can I get involved? And I would always tell them, like, man, you got to show up.
Yeah.
The first thing you got to do is show up, man. I said, because even if you go and jump on the project, I mean, out of 10 people, like 5 people will show up and the other 5 won't. And now there's more opportunity. So now they're like, well, sure, now I need one good guy. Like, hey, like, you know what I mean? Like you get more opportunities, man. So it's like doing a lot of BTS, a few times. I mean, they've asked me to jump on stuff and I'm like, oh man, like, hell yeah, why not? Just do a little quick clip and get out. But
well, what I was thinking, it's cool. It's ironic, I guess, like you're into the MMA, the fighting and stuff. And, of course, I've got Andrea, KGB Lee.
Oh, yeah, bro.
Who, she's in it, and especially if you're a big UFC fan or MMA, you know who she is, and her story is in general is really interesting. She didn't get fighting until later on in life, but also fighting out of Shreveport. Shreveport isn't known to just have a gym on every corner, and to go from that to be kicking ass,
making it to the big show, man.
Yeah. And it just goes to show the grind to say that it doesn't matter if you're in a small town wanting to be a fighter or if you're in a small town trying to make movies. It can be done if you want it bad enough, and that you're okay with getting your ass whooped sometimes. The answer no, like you're going to get no a lot.
Oh yeah.
But all it needs is one yes.
That's true, man. And yeah, I was going to bring up KGB, of course, man, because I mean, I am a fight fan. When you told me she was on there, I was like, dude, like I've seen so many horror movies with UFC fighters, and a lot of people don't see them because they go straight to DVD or they go straight, where it's like, okay, you know what? But I've seen a lot of them jump on there, man. Chandler was on one of them that I saw a while back. I mean, you've got, Brandon Schwab. Goes on and on, bro. But the fact that she's on this, I mean, I definitely want to see it. I'm going to be watching it this evening, and it's to see what the film brings and what the characters bring to the film.
Well, her, it was one of those things. I'm a UFC guy. I like fighting. I love watching that kind of stuff, and realized she wasn't too far from me, and I became a fan of hers. And so I was casting for this part, and I'm like, well, let's see if she would be interested. And I went into her comment section, and I was like, hey, Andrea, I'm a big fan, but I'm an independent producer, and I'm casting for this part. Would you have any interest in doing this? And then I see I got a DM, and I'm like, oh, she messaged me. And I'm sitting there just like all giggly and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, Andrea just messaged me. I gave her this, the spiel of it, and she was like, I would love to do that, and she did it, and she did an amazing job.
Nice, bro. That's cool, man. I mean, and that's one of the things I even like the fighters, fighter friends that I have, and I always keep telling them, dude, like jump on films, bro. Like start doing films. Like, you can't fight forever. I wish them all the best, and I hope they stay healthy. But it's like, when it's time to like stop training or stop fighting. I mean, not training, but stop fighting. Then you can jump on films and keep going. Keep having fun, man. Because
yeah, and it's not just UFC fighters, but I worked on this one movie that was filmed here in East Texas. WWE fighter Kevin Nash was in it, so I got to work with Kevin Nash, and so that was pretty cool. How but even WWE transitions well into acting too.
Oh yeah, dude, for sure. I mean, they're athletes. I mean, they're athletic. I mean, the fact that they have to tumble and jump around, and it's like they I mean, they do great, man. I know Jericho's been in a few. I mean, there's so many actors, wrestlers, of course, once again, that I've jumped on projects, and it's just it's cool, man. I mean, it's something that if dude, I mean, it's like I tell people, I mean, if I could make a living out of jumping on films, dude, I would, man. I would that's all I would do, is just jump on projects, help out with projects. I mean, I still do, but I mean, of course, I got to hold a job, right? But I mean, other than that, man, it's just like keep helping out and keep doing as much as I can.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this: there is nothing wrong with chasing your dreams and having a job. One of the best stories that was in Kurt Warner that played in the NFL.
Yeah.
So have you seen the movie, The Underdog Story of Kurt Warner?
Bro.
Okay.
Yes.
It's like that man's working at a grocery store playing arena football, and finally gets his chance at 28 years old to play in the NFL. Most people, if you're a rookie, you're 21, 22, 23 years old. You give up that dream by the time you're 28. But he didn't. That man stocked groceries and played in a arena league, finally got into the NFL, and now is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I've got a regular day job too. And a lot of people say, Andrew, well, you must not be doing that good in the industry if you're still got a day job. And I'm like, you don't understand how it works. You're comparing the one percenters, your Tom Cruises, all these big, big people that are making tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. It takes time to build up that clientele, to get that business going, to get that name going. And I got some big stuff coming up later on this year, which I can't talk about it right now. That's going to be a game changer for a lot of things. But it's one of those things that people judge, and you think, well, what are you doing? What are you doing to live your dream? While you're saying, well, what are you doing working a day job?
Yeah, no, that's true, man. And I mean, a lot of, when it comes to my work, I got to give them thanks, because they allow me to jump, miss work. If I tell them I have a project coming up, or if I got to bounce, like they're okay with it sometimes. But for the most part, they're like, yeah, man, go for it, and I appreciate that, because not a lot of people can do that, man. I know. For years, I worked at the United States Postal Service, man. I was a mailman, and when I changed and I changed crafts, and I was working at the plant, I was able to get a lot more days off because there was more people there. And that's when I was covering the combat sports, man. there was a UFC was coming to Houston or Dallas or Austin, and I'm like, dude, I gotta go, get my media pass and be able to miss work and then go have fun, bro. Go follow something,
Look, the best way I can describe it, which maybe if I moved to LA, it would be different, but I'm not moving to LA. Maybe I'm stubborn or not committed enough, whatever you want to call it, but I'm not moving to LA. But it goes like you'll have a lot of work doing really, really good, and then you won't really have anything. And some people will sit here and say, well, I'll go broke before I get a day job. Well, I'm not doing that, and then you do well again. So for me, I'm trying to do this rather than this, type thing. And I haven't quite figured that out yet to say, well, how do I minimize those gaps, in between work to where it's more consistent? And I see it on Facebook. People talk about it. And in the independent world, and maybe just in general, it's hard to do that. But I look at it, and maybe this is a little bit of arrogance. If I've been able to figure out the things that I have and accomplish the things that I've done, I can figure out how to stop this and do this, It just takes time.
Oh yeah, it's a formula, once you get comfortable and okay, what, like as soon as I'm done, I gotta jump on something, but yeah, man. For me, I'm gonna keep my job, of course, but there's projects that keep jumping, keep popping up, and if I'm available, that's one of the things I told directors, like, man, give me a heads up, man. Like, I know a lot of times it's last minute, but the more time I have to tell my boss, like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna be needed on the set or whatever, then the easier opportunity I have. But yeah, bro. But of course, and let me ask you, because you are in San Antonio, man, in Texas. But have you ever been to San Antonio?
Yeah. So I actually, I visited San Antonio while we were filming. It was a Western in Blanco, and it's not too far from there. It's like this little Western town museum type thing. I can't remember what it was named, but it was in Blanco. And that's actually where I met my business partner, which is my writer and the lead actress in all the films, Jana. She was actually wrote a script for this guy that I was working for. And he bought the script, and she was the lead actress in that Western. And so I met her, and then it was like, she wanted to make her own movie. She wanted to do all this. And so to answer your question short, yes, I visited it, and it was the Riverwalk. It was around Christmas time or during the holidays. It was beautiful. It was amazing down there.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, the Riverwalk, I have not been out there in years, man. I grew up here, so of course we're there all the time, growing up. But yeah, it's a lot to see. A lot of times, I go to these conventions, the horror conventions out here, and it's like, I always tell the guests, because they're like, man, what's a good place to go visit? And I say, you know what, because you don't have a lot of time. I say, go downtown, man. Walk the Riverwalk, jump on a boat, go to the Alamo. There's so much stuff going on in that area. You don't have to go far, but yeah, when it comes to San Antonio, there's a lot to do here, a lot to see. There's a lot of
culture.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, bro. You see in that Military City, USA, man. So we get a little
Mhm.
bit of everything. A lot of people, go to training here, basic training. They end up staying here. They come back. They get, uh, stationed or whatnot. But I mean, there's a
Mhm.
lot of people, and that's
Mhm.
one of the things I told my youngest when she was little, because she was like, "Oh, Dad, like." um, if I wanted to travel, we were talking about going places, and I said, you know what? I said I wanted to travel the world. I said, but God knew I couldn't do it, so He brought the world to me. And
There you
I'm meeting
go. There
everybody,
you go. I
bro.
love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I'm meeting everybody, man. I meet people from all walks of life. I was a contract delivery driver, delivering furniture for Big Lots for over 7 years, man, and they
Mhm.
finally closed down. But
Mhm.
dude, I used to deliver to so many people like from all over the world, and I was nosy, man. I'm like, man, where are you from, bro? And they're
Mhm.
Thailand, they're just telling me all these wild stories,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wow, dude, like cool, But surreal, man. There's a lot of culture here, like you said, and it's just one of the places like I would. I mean, the heat's the heat, man, and of course, half the time I'm inside, I'm indoors, in the AC. But when you can, it's definitely nice to go out there and enjoy the scenery for sure.
Yeah. Which I was, yeah. So I don't, it might have been when I was a kid. I might have went down there when it was hot, but whenever I was there, it was between like Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah.
It gets a little cold down there.
No, yeah, yeah. There's man. I think. I mean, somebody had mentioned that a while back, but I mean, because there's a lot of houses, a lot of trees are getting chopped down, so the heat factor is going up because there's less
Mhm.
trees, right? There's less
Yeah.
shade, less,
Mhm.
but yeah, it just seems to be getting a lot hotter now than they used to
Mhm.
be. But the winters, I mean, I miss them. I mean, I
Mhm.
remember those days. I mean, we
Mhm.
get snow like in the summer, we get snow in the
Mhm.
spring. I mean, the weather's
Yeah.
crazy, but yeah, man. I mean, it's nice when it can be, but it's
Mhm.
that bipolar weather. We never know.
Well, that's basically just Texas in general. I
Yeah,
think it's pretty much what it is. One minute it's beautiful, sunny, it rains, and then it gets in the 60s, and it drops to the 50s, and it's 100 the next day.
yeah, dude. We get like all seasons in one week, man. So it's like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah, yeah,
winter, fall, everything else.
yeah.
But yeah, bro. But of course, this movie. I mean, tell us. I mean, when it comes to the VOD, I mean, the Texas Witch, where can people find it at right now?
Yeah, so the main thing right now, it's on Fubu, I'm sorry, Voodoo, or also Prime. Those are the two main ones. Pushing really to Prime. Be sure to leave a review. I would love 5 stars. If not, it's a one. Give it a one. But it's big for us to get those reviews.
Yeah,
Next month, we're going to AVOD, and so it's going to be on even more the CW, Tubi, stuff like that, and then basically we kind of wait it out to see how well it does. If it does well financially, then we pitch it to some of the other licensing platforms. Which just wasn't a SAG production or anything like that. So some of the platforms, obviously that kind of halts it as far as it getting on
yeah,
those. Which going forward, as far as the second film, I would love to do SAG and stuff like that. But for now, go on Prime. It's $2.99 to rent it. If you got $3, there you
oh
go.
yeah.
If you really really like it, it's $9.99 to buy it. But the main thing, leave us a review. Do some. Give us a 5 stars. If not, we'll take a 1, 2.
No, no, for
But you're
sure.
wrong. If you give us a 1, you have horrible taste in movies.
No, and I was gonna say because somebody had brought this up one time. They said, you know what? If you like the movie, drop a review. If you don't, just swipe left, man. Like keep going. I mean, there's no
Yeah,
need to drop any less than that.
yeah,
But
but
I
yeah.
will say this though. When it comes to movie reviews, man, I mean, a lot of times I always just drop movie trailer reviews. It's just a quick like plug in info, like let people know what's going on, where they can find the trailer.
Yeah.
But I always tell people, like for me, I don't like to review indie films when it comes to like, oh man, was it good or bad? Because
Yeah.
it's an art form, and like you said, it's personal. So it's like whatever you were going through filming it, it's like what you're gonna deliver. So I mean, I
Yeah.
either like it or I don't, I mean, if it was good, then great, but it's just, for me, it's just like, you know what, man, I mean, you just keep supporting it, share it, if you don't like it, I mean, it's not for you, then you just keep going, there's so many great projects out there, but of course, you guys put a lot into this. It does get personal. So,
Yeah.
it's just baby, man.
Well, yeah, and it's one of those things too. Like they'll say, "Oh, well, acting is so in independent films
Yeah.
compared to Hollywood," and it's one of those you can't really base independent films off of that. Even though maybe I'm biased, I would say that our actors, China, Jana, Carter, all those got swayed. They all did an amazing job on the film. Of course, I'll say, "Well, Andrew, you're biased," but it's one of those things that I think if you're going into it to say, well, was this movie good or bad based off of acting, then you're missing the whole point of it, you know. And in Hollywood, they don't get enough credit, but I guarantee you those guys don't act worth a damn. But the editors, cut those things so good to get around all of that, you know. So same for me. When I'm watching an independent film, I'm looking at, you know, what's the story? What's the flow of the story feel like? You know, does it make sense on what they were trying to accomplish with the story? As far as the gore goes, is the gore cheesy? Okay, well, that doesn't really matter, you know, to me, you know, when you watch those things.
No, yeah, bro. Like I'm, you know, when people are like, "Oh man, you can tell that's fake," and I'm like, "No shit," you know, like I'm like, "Yeah, bro, like it's effects, bro." Like, you know what I mean? Like I look past that because it's like, I mean, like you said, if they deliver the story and you're like, "Oh shit, that was a good storyline," you know, the character build up. I mean, everything adds to it, you know. But yeah, bro. Like I'm, you know, I don't notice things so after the movie's done, or even then, I might never, you know, my girl on the other hand, of course, she'll be like, "Oh, you know, she wasn't wearing that shirt earlier, or she wasn't doing this."
Yeah, continuity issue.
Yeah, bro. And I'm just like, I didn't even notice that. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm stuck in the story, you know. Like, I'm not even worried. But
which hell, even big budget Hollywood films do that. You know, there's things like, well, like damn Jurassic Park's got a light at the corner of the T-Rex. It's like, you know, they got a lot of money for that to be a mistake, and you know, and the list goes on and on and on. You know,
but I'm
gonna say this real fast though. You know, like but it's so maybe it's society. I'm not sure. Like if you go to a McDonald's and they mess your order up, guess what? You're gonna come back to McDonald's later. Yeah. But if a mom and pops mess your order up, I'm done with them. I'm never coming back to this place again. And it's the same with independent films. You say, well, a Hollywood movie can just destroy a character or a franchise, whatever it is the fans say. But guess what? You're going to keep watching it. Yeah. But if an independent film does something just a little, why are we so much more critical of the little guy than these big guys, you know?
No, yeah, man, that's true, man. Because it's like, I mean, it's been a while since I've eaten out. So I mean, but back when, I mean, I would be like, "Oh man, they gave me the wrong freaking order, and I'm back there next week." You know, like it's like I'm not gonna hold it against them, right? But yeah, man. But for those, I mean, of course, that are supporting, you know, indie films, man, indie projects. I mean, like I said, it takes a village, man. Because I mean, as far as the crew, the cast, you know, like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to the gaffers and the video editing, people running the cameras. I mean, it's a lot of work. So everybody making this possible, dude. I mean, you know, definitely. You know, we appreciate it, man. We appreciate it, especially with you guys. You know, making sure that the stories get out there and we can view them. But I mean, this one, like you said, it is going to be out today, or it is out today, so people can actually go out there.
They gave us a little gift on Prime, which was it actually was uploaded to Prime, or was to where you could buy it at like 7:00 yesterday. Which I'm not sure how the time zones work or whatever, but. Yeah, but officially today it is available on which we have them on our Facebook page, Instagram, where you can see everything. And then July 3rd, we're going to have some more. Tubi's going to be added to it. So, you know, so we're going down the list on it. And our distribution company, they've been amazing. And hopefully we'll continue to add more, maybe get a couple licensing deals based off of how well it has performed. Right. You know, that's just the business side of it down the road. You know, we'll see. Hopefully we can get a little bit going and try to get a Texas Witch 2 coming.
No, for sure, man. I mean, I'm looking forward to it, man. I am going to be watching it this evening. Like you mentioned, it's only $2.99 for those that are watching or going to be watching this later today. You know, definitely go out there, go to Prime Video, check it out, rent it, buy it. I mean, you know, definitely support. And my man, I appreciate you, man. And let me, before we go, brother, music. What music can we find on this film?
Oh, well, so I love that you asked that. That's awesome. So there's, and I love using local independent guys. There's one band that I just absolutely love, which is from Longview, called Post Profit, and they are in the opening scene of the movie, blaring rock and roll. You know, I've got a gentleman from Jacksonville where we filmed it. He's country music singer Brian Chance. We've got some of his music in there too. So it's a little bit of everything, you know, to say, you know, a little bit of rap, a little bit of country, a little bit of rock, but also to show, you know, not to, you know, be disrespectful to say the little guy, but the guy that's trying to get going, you know. There's some of the music that I love. I heard it on a horror movie, you know, like El Nino. I didn't know who El Nino was, but I watched Freddy versus Jason. I heard that
Yeah.
song and I love that song, you know. Well, you know, or even Mudvayne, you know, there's so many of them that, you know, and so hopefully when someone watches the Texas Witch, they'll hear the song and say, "Oh, I like that," you know, and it
yeah, because it, you know, for me it goes hand in hand because it's indie, bro, indie film, indie music. I mean, we got to, you know, start off somewhere, but the fact that you guys are working hand in hand, freaking, it's great. You know, it's perfect. But my man, bro, we're gonna be wrapping this up. I do appreciate you jumping on here, man. We're gonna be bringing you back because you definitely have more news that we're gonna be talking about. Not right now,
Absolutely.
but later. But yes, brother, don't hang up yet. Everybody out there, of course. Once again, Andrew Evans is a Spider coming to podcast as always. Till next time.